Now, if you want to create particle in GameMaker, there's an easy way to do that. They've provided a whole little library of doing particle effects. And so you don't have to do that yourself. It actually has a whole library of built-in particle system. You can specify the type of effect you want. Say you want a firework, you can do that. You can say where you want it positioned. You can specify how big you want it to be and what color to use. So you're given a lot of flexibility when it comes to creating these effects. Here's the ones that are built in. These are like pre-packaged effects that you could use. Explosions, which is nice. There's a ring effect where it starts as a dot and then expands into a ring. There's also ellipses, which are pretty cool. Fireworks, you'd expect. I like smoke. So if you want to kind of obscure what's on the map, you can use smoke. If you want to use smoke that's kind of going up, say you have a house with a chimney on it, and you can have smoke coming out of the chimney. Stars you can use for like a space game. Yeah. And then a spark, that would be like if you had dynamite and you light the fuse, something like that. A flare, it's just a bright thing, and I think it pulses. I don't know, you have to try each one of these out. Clouds, rain is kind of cool. Snow is cool as well. So if you want to do some atmospheric effects, you can do that. And we'll be using that when we do the Legend of Zelda project later on. Okay, so when you put an effect on, you have to specify what layer it's on. So if it's clouds, you probably want that to draw first or drawn last so that it's above everything realistically on the page. So you have to specify whether you want it on top of everything else or behind everything else. Below or above, I guess what they say. If you want to clear all the effects, there's a call for that. How do you call an effect function? Well, you say effect create above. So this will be one of the last things that get drawn, so it's on top. The kind of effect you want, and that's constant, like EF underscore snow. The X and Y location of it, the size, and then the color. So if you want to do a firework, you would say effect create above because you want that to be on top of everything. Put in the constant for the firework, and then here's the X and Y coordinates. Size, large is 2, medium is 1, small is 0. And then the color you want to use for it. Say you want to use white. You say C underscore white. That's a constant that indicates a white firework. So what's our assignment? Create a program that exercises all the built-in particle effects constants listed early in the presentation. What I'd like to see is at the end of FishPod, we put in a room that will allow you to exercise all these effects. So if you could add that to the end of FishPod, that would be cool. So the program only needs one room and one controller object. Use the QWERTY key press events to generate each effect. So Q would be an explosion and something like that. So you put the controller in the room, and as you press a key press event, it will show you that effect. So I just want you to go through all the predefined effects, and you can get some pretty cool stuff just by doing that. We'll just put that at the end of FishPod. One less thing to turn in as a separate thing. First thing to do would be create a room. Here's my room. Maybe for the background, we do black as a color. You can shut the grid off. So that's a nice drawing surface we can draw on. Object we can create is a controller. Make sure to make it visible, even though it won't have a sprite associated. If it's not visible, it's not going to do anything. So then on the controller object, we're just going to add an event, like a key press event, and maybe use the first letter of the effect. So F would be fireworks, maybe. You can come up with some. Maybe just use QWERTY. So Q is fireworks. Just make sure to use the same keys. I don't want to have to go hunting around for them, so I guess Q. So what should happen when the Q key gets pressed? Well, we're going to run a script. And so I'm just going to say execute code. Some of us I saw were doing name scripts all the time, but if you're only going to call it from one place, Might as well do it here. And we're going to do the particle system. So going back to the slides, I think I lost the slides, didn't I? So we had that example call. Here's all the ones I want to see. So I'm doing the firework one right now. So this line of code, and I'll put it in this script. So you say effect create above, and this is a constant, and that tells you what kind of firework or what kind of effect you want. There's the fireworks. Here's the coordinates. I wanted to make it relatively large, and I want to make it white. So my hope is when I press the Q key and I put the controller in the room, I always forget to do that. Just put it anywhere in the room. We say run it and see what we get when we press the letter Q. Okay. So a pretty nice firework effect. See that? So you can vary a few things in the code, try out some things yourself. You can try different colors. Here's all the colors that are available. It's not a very extensive list, but try yellow. If you want to randomize it a bit every time you press the key, that way it's a little bit more random. It's not always occurring in the same spot. So the only requirement of this program really is to show each particle effect so you can just try it out. See, so now my fireworks are appearing randomly around the room. You can also vary the color by sending in different values. Let's try some of the other effects while we're in here. I like snow. Snow's a pretty cool one. I think snow affects the whole screen, but we'll see. So the position doesn't really matter much. It's always going to start at the top of the screen. So it's kind of a nice effect. Just don't eat the yellow snow. That would be bad. All right, that's particle effects. So what you want to do at the end of FishPod is do a little fireworks thing. The way I would do the fireworks is you'd shoot up a mortar, put some gravity on it. When it starts to descend, that's when you should explode the mortar and do the firework effect. Okay? So you're going to have a mortar object, start out at the bottom of the screen, shoot it at a random angle between, I don't know, about 70 and 110. And then once the mortar slows enough down so that it gets a positive vertical speed, because the Y is upside down, you know it's reached the top of the arc, and that's when you change the object from a mortar into a firework explosion thing. That's going to be the final assignment. But for this one, let's just do a key press for each effect that is listed in the slide presentation. Assign one effect per keystroke, starting with Q and going across the keyboard. And then I'll try each one. You could put in some randomization just to make it a little bit more interesting. And again, to randomize it, I just call the random method, passing in the screen width for X and the screen height for Y.